To me, it's their most picked map, and the only teams that they ended up losing on that map is 100 Thieves, Renegades, and Envy. But the thing was that is that those two losses on Ascent are the last two maps of Ascent that they ended up playing. Yep. So at this point, I think we just need to see how strong they can even come out on Bind, because Ascent at this point, it isn't even a confirmation anymore.
Yeah, Ascend is really just up in the air, I think, this point. I mean, both teams definitely very good. Like you mentioned, the statistic of Cloud9 not doing too well in recent history, but that shouldn't matter too much going into this one. I mean, there's still a lot at stake, so both teams are definitely bringing the heat. Cloud9 going into this game, they've definitely, like I mentioned, had a very, very long break, and that's kind of something we're expecting. We're expecting them to be very prepared. Like you mentioned, again, going back to that point of them losing or not doing too well in recent times in Ascent, they have plenty of time to rework that map, VOD review, figure out what's been going on, and try and rebuild the strategy or the strat book that they have so far. And in this round, the pistol round, it's kicked off with a bang. We're having a little bit of an observer issue, but a 5v3 or a 5v2, apologies, with both players on Cloud9 stuck in hookah, and there are low HP players here on SSG, but given the position and given the information, I think Cloud9 will be hard-pressed to work their way back in.
Strong opening in general, and now, again, these players, yeah, they can frag out, right? But I think just trying to get choked out of hookah, it's already very much a tall task. Best thing that they can do is find some exits, but in the pistol round, it isn't exactly worth it. It's really just hunting for frags to get those creds up. And that's indeed what they're doing. The spike has already ticked oh so low. sSef even stepping up to the plate, getting a kill off that frenzy. Relyks, last person remaining in a 1v5. Trying to find at least one into roca, but that's a perfect round for SSG to start things off in our set.
Yeah, nice as well for them to keep 5 players alive. So if they want to move into this round going forward, if they want to hold on the pistols, which it does look like some of them will be. The frenzies have definitely been very capable throughout this entire qualifier series. So they'll hold on to the frenzies, a couple upgraded bulldogs. But overall, I think that SSG moving forward, right, they'll build up the economy. It's interesting that they go for 3 bulldogs, no specters, but the frenzy and the ghost alongside. They're not necessarily conserving their credits too well, but the 3 bulldogs should definitely be enough of a heavy hit to the side of Cloud9.
Right, and, well, I guess at this point we actually have to wait up for what would be the approach from C9, because they played their cards right in this round. 3 players at least sticking over towards that mid area. SSG, they don't seem like they're very, I guess, intending on rotating outs. Again, they have to wait up for what would be that quick approach from the person out of vent, and even then, sSef does get called out. Vice rushing down mid. sSef, all he has is a Spectre, so it's a one-and-done position. And just like that, C9 has forced up this round, and they've held back the SSG squad. It's a 4-on-2. There's still one more on site. That's Kaplan, but he's down. Insky, 1v4 now, Sully.
There are 2 HPs, or 2 players on very, very low HP. This is winnable, right? The Bulldog, 50 seconds left, but he's got to be very careful. The Aladrone, it will spot him out, I think, here eventually, if not catching the shoulder. And I think that Vice shooting that recon bolt might have realized that he's going to be there in preemptive pre-fire. But for now, insky, 8 bullets left in the mag, and TenZ was an animal. 2-1 sheriffs in this single round, and it spun the entire narrative of this second round. And the force here, at least the side of SSG, hasn't worked out. Those 3 bulldogs, lots of credits invested. Had they maybe not invested, they could have had a bye to challenge, even if they lost this round. But the fact that they're going with 3 bulldogs, insky's not going to have credits. Neither will the other 2. So he'll save on to what he's got. He's got armor 44 and the bulldog to hold on to. But Cloud9, they spin it right back. They tie things up 1-1. That'll be a big boost to their economy as well. Picking up those 2 bulldogs, they're looking good going into the 3rd round.
Well, again, could call it thrifty, but again, a little bit of a force from C9 into that round, and just overall pressure in the mid area. Almost just a hard read to that extent, purely because, again, just gambling in just the beginning of double ecos is very much prevalent, and it's really the only thing that you can do, Sully. But now at this point, SSG, they don't exactly have the best of setups. They just had around, I think, 3k credits going into this round. So this is an unorthodox half buy at about 1k, 1.5k. Best thing that they can do is just hold W, and this B site might just be their prey. 2 players sitting up right along hookah, but Relyks on that front line with the Spectre. Can't get the first one, and there's only 1 person left here on B.
Oh, I don't know if Vice is going to be able to hold this line. He's got so many angles to watch. And yeah, now that he's been spotted out, SSG, they're waiting. They'll play this patiently. But what a delay that Vice has caused already. That shock dart forcing a distance or creating a distance between those players. And look at the time that it's allotted for Mitch to make that rotation. Yes, he's kind of stuck and it's getting a little bit flustered. But at 3v3, that delay that Vice has caused has made this winnable. Spike cannot go down. It's way too contested on this B bomb site. TenZ has made his rotation a little bit late. But as the Spike goes down, a 3v3 and 2 players now make it 2 for one side. Just TenZ left alive here. I don't know what's happened here, but he's in a 1v3. Make it just a 2. He can definitely win this if he finds his final frag. 1v1. Ooh. Up above he goes, dashing away, 6 pulls up in the mag. All of this, not for much. 2-1. Insky clutches the 1v1. And what do you know? SSG spin it right back and take the lead.
Oh, man. So, at this point, hey, are we fixing audio? It was all the way down.
Why? Why was it all the way down?
Hey, there it is. Twitch check and stop spamming now. Hey, we're good. Wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, we do apologize for in-game volume being so unbelievably low, but hey, I do have to remind you guys, this is a side stream. There is 7 other community streams happening at the moment. Again, we're running a very basic setup at the moment. We have our man Bear on the observing. We have our man Itzo producing, actually from work. At the moment, he does work at a LAN center, so it is technically work, but a little bit more remote than expected. My name's Upmine, joined here by Sully, and hey, we do have yet another big round because SSG in the last one just did yet another eco for this game.
Yeah, this has definitely scattered the economy of both of these teams. Cloud9 have made slight investments. I mean, both of these teams' economies are going to definitely be rockered, right? At SSG, they made investments and they walk away with 1 player. It's such an interesting start to bind because it's never this unstable, right? Most of the time you have teams, they've got a set economy built up by this 3rd round, but both teams have scattered weaponry, and roca has scattered 3 heads. That is clean. He's been performing so well for SSG, and he stepped up massively to clear that B bomb site. TenZ already knows what he has to do. He invested into an operator, having saved the Bulldog from the last, and now he's going to hold on to it for the rest of this round at 2v5. And they're not looking for anything. 3-1 SSG, 100% have already cleared out this round as Vice will be holding on to a mere stinger.
So the trend does not continue. And again, we are just waiting up for what would be a solid buy round from really both of these teams. C9 left on ice once again. And again, that's really just the thing thus far this game. We haven't seen any sort of linear progression. We haven't seen just a full buy from both of these teams, so we can't exactly just hard analyze. Both of these squads, they played up their off angles right, and really when it comes down to the gambles, especially when it comes through to the ecos, it's been very efficient. C9 in that last round, again, they weren't just able to hold down their sights. That double stack long wasn't exactly as efficient as they wanted it to be, but hey, it happens, right? When you're going up against pistols, I mean, you might as well win the 1v1s. But now at this point, C9, it is called a double eco for a reason. You do not have enough money at all to buy out. And again, looks like a couple of these players, they are dipping a little bit too high into their economy. Couple stingers, even a frenzy around for Relyks, which is just fine, just an upgraded pistol.
Here.
But again, although C9 are low on cash and they would like a full buy going into the next round, this one might be risky if they end up losing out all of their players, especially that up on TenZ.
Boom, with 2 players as well in this A site. Aldrone, that'll clear everything out, give them room to work with. Boostio, I imagine, will start to lead the charge. Great leader as well. Shinobi's got a paranoia. This will hopefully delay them just a little bit. If he gets the timing right, which I think is perfect there, it's held them even further back. TenZ can make that rotation. This is the death factor, I think, here for the side of Cloud9. If you get TenZ onto this site, and he can maybe make some explosive plays here, but he's been shut down before he even gets the go-in. Boostio, headshot straight onto him. Operator lost the round is done. SSG, spike down. It's not entirely good, I'd say. Maybe a couple of exits here for Cloud9, but it is just the 1 man. And Mitch, in a 1v5, a stinger in his hand, only 25 armor as well, so the likelihood of him walking away with anything but his life seems very, very slim.
It's as predictable. The SSG, really their first 8-sake, full 8-sake at least, of the game. They end up getting exposed, or C9 ends up getting exposed for it. To face up against a rifle on what would be a much more wide-winding sight. And again, these stingers can't exactly do much. C9. C9 at least have a hope here, and Mitch does get a kill back with the stinger. But it's, again, very linear round, nothing too insane. But now let's look at the buy from C9. We do have a couple of players back at around 3K, 4K. It's not exactly the full kit that they would have wanted. I don't think they used up too much util in the last round either. So they are going to be able to carry that into this round. The rifle's back, all of the sort. So this is really our first real buy from C9 thus far this game. And SSG is the same thing. They are rolling in cash. They're going to be fine for virtually the next 3 rounds. At this point, if SSG just holds down here on the attacking side of Haven, this map could go to the white side.
Yeah, in a typical buy, like you mentioned, we haven't had that linear style in a very typical Valorant game. And when I say typical, I mean like we have our 5th round gun buy, which would have been the last round. This round in particular, round number 6, would have been a big deciding factor for the rest of the half. But because we had that rocky start, it's not going to be as easy as said and done. Mitch is able to pick up a double. Shinobi traded out. Can't even pick off of Mitch. It's only 2 for them, a 2 for 2, and now make it a 3 for 2 as SSG once more have dominated this A bomb fight. They get the spike down, and this 6th round still seems to be a big round for SSG as it'll break the lead 5-1. This was the first rifle v rifle round, and it has not gone the way of Cloud9 whatsoever. It's not out of question just yet, with 2 players still remaining, and they're trying to find a way back into this site.
Again, I can't emphasize how much of a rarity it is to actually see 5 rounds gone from a game. We haven't seen a full rifle round from both teams, but this is actually working out. Vice on the front lines, still trying to face up against insky. Now in a 1v2, the spray down doesn't catch Relyks. He goes all the way down to 10 HP, and the 2v3 retake for C9 just works. Great stuff from them. They took it 1 by 1. Relyks makes his way on site. You even had Vice with a little bit of pressure over towards U-Haul. But their biggest point of pressure was taking away that player from Bathroom, then just centralizing all of their efforts towards U-Haul. It was easy peasy flowcharting kind of stuff. And now, 6 rounds in, we're seeing a full buy back for both of these teams. But C9, they've won their first impressive round.
But even then, their economy is still taking a massive hit. TenZ isn't able to save himself, able to keep himself alive, and he'll have to reinvest. He can't even get a Vandal or a Phantom. No op for him in the foreseeable future, so still rocky stuff here for Cloud9. But hopefully with a round win here, they can stabilize. But SSG, like you mentioned in the last, have plenty of cash to buy up. They don't have to worry at all. Roca has been spotted. TenZ holding around the corner with the judge. So far in this round, SSG definitely taking the precautions. Looking for a default, trying to find any opening picks, and I want to see Cloud9 taking map control. Shinobi's thinking about it, definitely. And Aldron, I think, to come out from the arm of Kaplan. I think this should be a good indicator as to what site they want to take. If he spots anyone on this A site, that's information, can use the Hunter Sphere if he wants to. But for now, SSG, again, very slow playing off of information, but they've got none of it. All Roca knows is there is a Cypher on this B site. TenZ is right around the corner. Maybe it's something he expects, but other than that, SSG, they're playing with a blanket over their heads, and TenZ is getting ready to tear it right off of them. Great clear goes in, but TenZ knows 2 frags to his name, and I think SSG realized the B site is not for the taking.
Now in comes the take, Boostio on the front line. C9, we're getting into some tricky places, and TenZ on top of Tin
30 seconds left.
He rules the round, he rules the map. And again, 4 kills from Relyks at the very end with a nice frag onto Kaplan. Easy piece of stuff. But again, SSG, they have been barreling their way through, and they still have yet another buy going into this round. And I said that they would have a very consistent buy for at least 3 rounds. No, they actually have a very consistent buy for 4 rounds straight. So I think they're doing just fine. It's just that, again, that attack was a little bit disjointed. Again, it doesn't help when you have TenZ with a judge and an off angle towards Hookah, and you just barrel in through that spot, all running into that crosshair. But now looking at the spots now for C9 is a little bit of a default. It's going to be pressure over towards bathrooms, pressure in mid, pressure in long. Essentially, every extremity on this map is being watched over. A C9 takes a little bit more stable of a hold, while Spacestation tries to actually enforce the plays.
All right, we're talking about stable, but again, they're pressuring Hookah so heavily. I think they've got enough faith in their holdout towards long, right? We saw the pivot that TenZ did, dashing back to site, able to hold it down as well with the Vandal they picked up off of roca's body. And now maybe a little bit more. Paranoia miss. That is so unfortunate for SSG. That was the explosion. That's what they needed. roca needed to get that frag, but insky does it. Even without the assistance of his teammates, straight through the Cypher cage, trades things back to a 4v4. Mitch still tagged a little bit low, and that seems to be an indicator for SSG to go back the other way. They wanted that information in Hookah, and unfortunately they didn't get it. They got to trade back, but that's not much to play off of. With a 4v4, they'll try and play off a Boostio, throw it back. Maybe he can clear out this site. He's already got one. He's been fantastic so far in clearing out sites like the A bomb site. He's sent all the way back to bathrooms, and still shinobi. He's really the only line of defense, and even then, he's barely standing.
Shinobi's just vibing. Look at that spot for the recon bolt. Oh man, it's Shinobi just peeks out from the cage. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
Revealing area.
But for C9, it's all too fortunate. Again, 2 players disjointed. It's gonna be Vice coming in from the main area in mitch. She was on the flank. Unfortunately, is gonna go down to a 1v2. Still Vice now in a 1v3.
Shot that.
And this one should just be about done and dusted. These 2 players do have a good chokehold onto this spike. Oh, Vice is still hunting.
1 HP.
Sova.
He knows for a fact this last person, unreal. Vice, man. He's picking all the angs. He clears all of it. And now the defuse is gonna happen within 0.4 seconds. Yet another retake from C9. This just so successful. Barely there, Sully. And just like that, within milliseconds, C9 ties up the game against SSG.
That's unbelievable. Another 2vx, and it comes down to a 1v3, and it's really all on his shoulders. I cannot believe Vice just pulled off that clutch. What an insane one, and what a big round it means for the economy of both teams. This is the first time that it feels like they're really on even footing, right? Cloud9, similar credit situation to the likes of SSG. So right now, this is a huge swing round. SSG, you mentioned they had enough credits to buy for 4 rounds. Well, here's round number 4. Here is their last buy. Cloud9 are looking to strike for gold, and right now Mitch is the only one really doing anything out towards long. They haven't invested TenZ and Mitch back into Hookah. They've swapped them out. They're trying to play a little bit more precarious. Up they come here, SSG. Utility expended, and they're trying to hold them back the best they can here. Cloud9 delay, allow those rotations to come in, which they've done exactly, but Boostio once more is looking for an opportunity to create some space. He's been doing so well in that A site. Can he do it here on B? They've been shut down in the past, and look at the rotations for Cloud9. So many, and TenZ has already caught first blood.
You still have what is a 4-man hold here for C9 on this B sites. SSG. Again, they've been halted over towards B long. I think their best option at this point is to regroup. Maybe not retake, but at least try to think out what would be their actual take. Really, the most pivotal thing about this whole round in general is going to be sSef. sSef waiting up in U-Haul, making his way through. Relyks
30
did
seconds
not spot
left.
him by any means, but he's still keeping an eye on shorts. sSef. He hears TenZ. TenZ thinks he's safe. He has his knife out. And there you go. Relyks doesn't spot out sSef. That's going to be the frag. But in comes the teleport. You still have Relyks over towards heaven. And he's still trying to get himself a couple
10
of
seconds
frags.
left.
But insky with a good shutdown of the showstopper.
One
That's a
enemy
4 on 3.
remaining.
And now sSef,
Spike planted.
the lurk from earlier turns into gold. 4 kills for sSef. And the score is 5-4.
Brilliantly played from SSG. They walk up long. They have that TP. They can literally just wait and see if sSef can get anything, and that's what they were expecting. A TP immediately. The Omen TP as well to get U-Haul control. It was so well thought out for SSG and sSef. Perfect lurked as well. Doesn't get spotted out. Creates so much space for his team on that A bomb site. And while SSG, it's a round 1 for them. 5-4. And that was the big round. That was the round that both of these teams were looking for to try and pull away with the lead. Economy was built up for Cloud9, but look at what that round has done. It shattered them. Frenzy's a classic and a sheriff to play with. TenZ does have the ultimate, and that could be a big X factor. We know what this man is capable of, and he himself has to go big to try and turn this round. But shinobi is going on a little bit of a run himself. Quick first frag. He's opened things up here. He will be traded out with his back turned to Kaplan.
I know
Still
exactly.
trying to aggress, but that's finally going to be a kill down for Boostio. Against C9, their economy has been a major issue thus far. Really, most of their rounds 80% of the rounds that they've lost out
Spike planted.
have been to simple eco v rifles. And at this point, these last two players, it's going to be Vice on the front end, and on the back end, we actually do have a flank going into bathroom. Boostio still watching the cross. Roca approaching, but by the time he gets there, Boostio might find the first contact.
player
And we
remaining.
go. Boostio gets one. He doesn't expect Vice. Vice here pops. Roca's gonna get the last kill. Easy peasy. 6-4. 2 more rounds left in the half. C9 will at least have a bye for this next one. But again, the thing with at least their bind, most of C9's dubs have been them taking the majority of the defensive half. They're not exactly a very, I'm not gonna say too efficient, but they're not a very efficient attacking side here on bind, at least historically. So the best thing that SSG has already done thus far is just restricting that defensive side. Sorry, I got lost in my words. Yes, restricting that defensive side, and at least some of these rounds, not even holding W. C9, they've been very much used to a lot of aggression, especially if we're talking about teams like Renegades that just have pure 1v1ers. This team, they're a little bit more tactically sound, and it's working out for them.
This round, Hunter's Spirit called out. That'll try to delay them. Nice kill from Vice. He has information as to the player jumping out, but that's not enough. It's not enough to draw attention away. They're not exactly focused on the entire site, and this is a shutdown of a round. Cloud9, it will be a 5th on the board, almost definitely, unless Boostio can create some energy, but not much will come from it. TenZ finally has an op in his hand, I think for the 2nd time in this entire game, and he gets his first kill on it.
Last
round of the half, and Cloud9 are hoping to tie things up here, but SSG, the cash, the credits are still there because of that one major sling round. They've got enough to have one last hurrah in this half. Maybe, just maybe, they can close it out with a lead.
Need a drop. Thanks.
So that's at least something back for C9. I like the setup from TenZ. He's going to go for an early short peek, and he does have the rifle back to try to hold back on a quick take. Yet another default being developed by Spacestation at the moment. Again, attention towards the extremities of the map, and again, it's that whole thing where C9, they have been a little bit more used to what would be aggressiveness, but Spacestation, they've almost been maybe even a little bit too disciplined in some of these rounds. Might even go against them. But now we wait up for yet another approach. Spike all the way back in their spawn. They're really just waiting for what would be a singular pick to really open up one of these sites so they can get the rotates going. Looking at the hold over towards B, though, it's very much conservative. 2 players on the points. You have Relyks back towards spawn, 1 player in elbow, that's Mitch. And at this point, Spacestation, they would have to hold off of what might be maybe even a 4v5 or a 4v4 retake if they end up going onto the site.
But it is just a lurk. I think the slight noise made in Hookah might have drawn some rotations away, and yes, it has. There's only one here. This is getting a little bit worrying. Shinobi trying to go for an early swing, but he spotted, and there's Hunter's Spirit. They got it early in the round with the ult orb, but nothing is connecting.
30 seconds left.
Out U-Haul. This is such a crucial spot to take, and the fact that the Hunter's Spirit doesn't flush out Shinobi is big. Still a 3v4 in favor of the side of SSG.
Oh, Relyks.
Still up above, dropping on down, and Roca's got a 3rd. It's just down to Mitch in a 1v3. Great take from SSG. Despite lacking that U-Haul control, they're able to flush their way onto the site with just 1 player there. Nothing Cloud9 can do, nothing Shinobi can do to try and delay them. And now Mitch, 90 HP against 3 players. Has at least spotted 1. The Leo goes out full blind, and Boostio catches him from the left side. SSG will be exiting this half and entering the second half with a 7-5 lead on their attacking side. And now they're on the defense, Gus. And this is their map pick, so we're looking for something major from them.
Yeah, no, again, it still is very much close, so this pistol round is going to have what would be very much short-term punishment, but it's not going to be too consequential in a sense. For SSG, it's going to be an extension of their lead, but again, you still have what would be that surprise factor of C9. I mean, you have 2 very aggressive players in terms of TenZ and Relyks, but that actually ended up going against them at the very end of the half there. When I ended up saying Relyks, you could see kind of Spacestation hovering around that site, not actually going for any of the extremities, not rushing up U-Haul, not rushing up site or anything of the sort, especially after that post, off of the post plant. And Relyks, he tried to force the situation by satcheling on top of U-Haul, and it simply didn't work out in their favor. They were waiting for a jump up like that, whether it was from TenZ with an updraft or Relyks with the satchel. So to that extent, SSG, they're staying very patient because they know the potency of what C9 is. So now in this round, we're seeing C9 at this point spread themselves throughout the map, but it's mainly just going to be a little bit of a lurk over towards A with a focus on B. 3 players for SSG trying to hold up, and this long hold is probably going to be the most important part.
Oh, yeah, they're taking a fight, but they haven't taken any lives. sSef is kind of the big X right here. But TP as well. Boostio has decided to ditch his teammates, and unfortunately, it's weak in this defense. Insky has to go huger in the back lines, finds one straight to the box on his shinobi. Big delay cause, and it's just down to 2. TenZ is trying to find something. Smokes down and everything. Not much to play off of just yet, and with players wrapping around, sSef been all the way. Boostio even coming in with the TP, so they are grouped up towards Duca. They have this entire control, and it's a sandwich here for Cloud9. Players all around them. There's so many angles to focus on, and this is a great opportunity for them to work together. It has to be well coordinated, though. They've got to be prepared for this. In comes the paranoia. It doesn't connect on them much. It doesn't give them much. How is this turned around 10-1, and knowing his skill and knowing his caliber, he should be walking away with this one, and he will. Jumping on over, right click with a classic. And that's what C9 needed, a pistol round win to kick it off 6-7.
That little interaction right there, it's just, it's the type of interactions that you would see in maybe like a fighting game, just bait and punish, waiting out for the frames. And to that extent, TenZ, of course, going for what would be just a hard shoulder peek. Just trying to get himself what would be just a singular opening onto Boostio. Boostio goes for the right click. TenZ goes on up, knowing that he essentially has to cock back the classic. And just like that, that's the end of the round. So it's small things like that that really catches my eye. But even then, C9, they do have a round back. And at least for now, good stuff from SSG for not actually investing too much into this round. You do have the upgraded pistols back, so that might restrict their economy somewhat. But again, off the double eco, this the third round is probably going to be the most pivotal for them, depending how much success they actually have in this round. So at least at this point, we wait. C9, they have the right pace for this type of round, knowing that they might be facing up against stingers and pistols. So at this point, we are just waiting up for what would just be a hard approach, because all of these players for SSG are just waiting up on sites.
All control so far. No one in Cloud9 is trying to fight that. Insky nearly gets a frag, but whiffs a couple of sheriff shots, and the movement made here by sSef. Blast back out of the way. Relyks ensuring that he clears every corner. Just down to 1. 1v5. roca. We're very lucky to go out with anything. TenZ makes it a flawless round for Cloud9. No damage dealt, it looks like. So 7-7. They won't have to reinvest into armor. They won't have to reinvest into anything. Here's their bonus round, and here is their chance to get the economy rolling. It does open up an avenue, I think, for SSG to walk away with the lead, but the trade-off is you've got plenty of cash to spend no matter what happens after this, so they'll take that into the day of the week. And even then, 3 Spectres, 2 Bulldogs, not too bad of a round setup for them.
Not bad at all. Again, it is that whole dynamic with economy. That C9 is literally just holding on to the guns that they had in the last round. Not a singular person dropped, and that is going to do so much for their economy for the rest of this half. No economic damage. They can essentially chill. Look at this setup, though. The paranoia going right into sight, and Boostio's going to get overwhelmed. Massive stuff from TenZ on the front lines. Takes down Boostio, takes down roca. There's still going to be one person in the back of that site. That's going to be Kaplan. Really just waiting up for the approach. And C9, they haven't even gone for the execute yet. Just waiting for players to walk into their crosshairs. They even have a player kind of hovering around that A area, just trying to get that information, especially because they already have a camera set up in mid. They already clearing up flank. TenZ already knows that he's going to be safe to make his way back. Same thing with the rest of C9. The rotation has gone down. Vice is still making a whole lot of noise towards this B site. This is just clinical.
Oh, and Vice, he's got such an easy exit as well. They're gone. They're on this A side already. He's done his job. That recon bolt, he knows there's at least going to be one on this B bomb site. And it was the anchor as well. sSef over here alongside Insky. I don't think they're going to be attempting this round. It should already be over. Unless they want to go for something cheeky, but it doesn't look like it. 8-7, Cloud9. What a round it is for them as well. Their bonus round to pick the round win up. They'll definitely have some upgraded rifles if they want to go hunting for them, but it doesn't look like they will. So Cloud9, they take the lead. Bonus round done, dusted. The goal was to, you know, maybe take some rifles out of SSG's hands. You're not necessarily expecting to win it, given the guns, the Spectres, the Bulldogs, but they convert. TenZ does a phenomenal job in clearing out hookah, and that's all they needed. SSG, they hold on to 2 rifles, but again, their economy will be battered and broken. Cloud9 are swimming in money right now as we move in to what will be a crucial 4th round of this second half.
Still a big round coming up, and C9, they're going to still maintain more or less that the utility, the firepower that they have just from round number 2 of this half. You're still seeing the Bulldogs. You're still going to see a Spectre in the hands of Shinobi. And more importantly, SSG, they can't counteract that just yet. They have the 2 hero rifles from the last round in sSef and Boostio.
Yes,
And of course, the pistols are the only thing that they can really invest in. Especially because, I mean, we're looking for what would be a banger of a 17th round that would be after this one. But here in round 16, C9 still needs to keep things clean. Again, most of these players with the Spectres and Bulldogs, they're gonna upgrade in the next round anyway, so it's not that big of an issue. But TenZ making his way right into U-Haul. Snags himself a big kill, but now it's gonna be a double hold over towards U-Haul. Vice on the front line's gonna go down, but sSef is right behind him with a trade back on Vice. Still TenZ around the corner, low on HP. sSef can't spray through the smoke, and instead it's gonna be Shinobi with, again, just a good frag, and only 1 person remaining. Roca looking for some economic damage, and that's the only thing he can really hope for. This man's a nutter, but it's a tall task. And he goes down to the spray down from Relyks. That's massive.
Nothing saved, but here it is, the first rifle v rifle round. I assume not many investments were made by SSG, like we saw Roca with a sheriff. Nothing else was bought up from the rest, so they had the 2 save rifles. So here it is, round number 5, and this is the more, in quotes, linear style of round that we're used to seeing. The 5th round being the big one, the big rifle v rifle round, and now the big gun being pulled out, the operator for Kaplan. How does he plan to use it on a Sova? I'm a little bit curious. You normally want that spraying ability when you have that recon bolt, that owl drone, but having him on this operator could prove to be deadly. You'll see him pivot around in the back of the B bomb site. Does look like he's planning to make a quick rotation, but not just yet. Cloud9, slow but steady approach. We'll send up Vice's owl drone to clear it out. TenZ has been very good so far getting these positions out, and insky, that's a massive kill. TenZ has got the verticality though, and TenZ up top shuts him down. As well as the Hunter Sphere to be called upon. They're trying to clear out this site, and TenZ has created such a big gap between him and the rest of his team. He's looking for energy. He's created so much space to allow the spike to go down in this 4v3.
Again, they have all the control of this site, but again, TenZ, it's almost expected that he's going to be in this area. Boostio, good stuff off the run it back, but that's a little bit of a one-way. TenZ, you got to keep watching that egg, and indeed he will. Going to be able to get a 2K, but again, one of them didn't count because it's a run it back. Now it's a 3-on-1. One more player remaining in the back of sight. It's going to be none other than Mitch, but he goes down. Finally, Spacestation take a round back in this half. And C9, I didn't really, again, I said that the pistol round wouldn't make too much of a difference between these 2 teams, but indeed it did. It extended C9 to a lead, but now Spacestation, they have a chance back with the rifles, as now C9, they have to fully reinvest for the first time in this half.
I don't even think it was necessarily the pistol that exactly gave Cloud9 the leverage. It was that bonus round. It was the 3rd round bonus that really flipped this entire game on its head. When they won that bonus round, it was such a huge economic boost to their side that they had the chance to win a 4th round straight, which they did. But this 5th one, like we said, a linear style of Valorant, the normal economic situation where you don't have a flip-flop like we did in the first half, the 5th round is a big one. And the fact that SSG, they pull it off, it'll help them so much moving forward. And like you mentioned, Cloud9, it's a full reinvestment. This is another huge round, both sides with rifles, and only one can walk away with a victory. TenZ this time around, his favorite gun in all of Valorant, shut down before he can even get a shot off on this attacking side. A 4v5 now for SSG, and the B bomb site is cluttered with green all over.
Opt to clear out hookah, not optimal. Opt to put into hookah, more than optimal. It's where TenZ can thrive, but they're missing out on that first step, which is actually clearing out that area. And boy, again, that first shot was so pivotal. And now the Hunter's Fury, Kaplan, you get so much damage off of this. They're, again, ducking, dodging, bobbing, weaving.
Exactly where you are.
Couldn't get much damage off of it there. Shinobi now on that front line is is going to get revealed by the recon bolt, but now he teleports onto site. Boostio with a good angle over towards elbow. He's still in the drop. Able to get two! Relyks, a great shot back, but now he's all left on his lonesome. Only 6 HP for the man, and oh my, the rotation back for SSG. It's so quick, so strong, and just like that, the scoreline is tied, 9-9.
Oh, that's big as well, SSG. You've almost sent them back to a full economic reset. For those 3 rounds that they won, they were big. They kept players alive. They do still have enough in the gas tank for one more. But Cloud9, you're running on fumes now. SSG pulling away just a little bit. They've tied it up 9-9. Boostio, that's the danger of not clearing out long. They invest everything towards Hookah and they get shut down. TenZ can't clear it out. They're stuck in Hookah, and Boostio, so much room to work with. He clears out long, says, okay, I'm going to double back and help watch the players jump out of Hookah. Does a great job in shutting Shinobi down and then finding the second afterwards. Here we are, though, Cloud9, a different approach. This time the A bomb site. Up top is Insky, though. They've cleared out showers. The recon bolt spots nothing. And the ult orb will be picked up as well, nearing the Hunter sphere, at least for Vice. But sSef, alongside Insky, they've got to prove to be a dominable hold. Spray goes in, TenZ right through his feet. Roca taking a little bit of damage as well, 47 HP. Cloud9, they backed off just a little bit to try and regroup back towards the A site. The owl drone from Mitch has, or Vice, apologies, has cleared most of this A site, A short area. So they have a very clean line of sight to go into, but they do need to fight for that U-haul, which it seems a reposition from sSef has created a little bit of a boundary.
Just a little bit against sSef. Over towards U-haul. Very unfortunate. Insky waiting on for the approach. Back towards Bathroom. Oh my, Kaplan! Huge shot onto Relyks. Now it's a 4-on-4 retake. A couple of these players for SSG a little bit crippled. They still have the Empress. Not exactly online, but still waiting up for SSG if they end up opting for it. Spike still ticking down little by little. Kaplan might be able to get some information. In comes the frags for C9. Still Kaplan holding things down. Mitch just needs to get this one frag. Spike is gonna get ticked, but Roca overwhelmed. Same thing with Kaplan in that back line. Great hold from C9. Always keeping their players agile on side. That was probably the biggest part of it. Good anti-util, and just like that, it's going to be yet another round for C9, where SSG, they're going to stay on the back lines in terms of economy. And boy, oh boy, C9, they've finally broken through, but they have one more challenge to go through.
It's the reset here, round number 9 of the half. Definitely going to prove to be a little bit difficult. Apologies. Round number 8, I cannot count. 10-9.
Oh, this is a nice
Cloud9, this is a big round. It breaks the back of SSG. They will have no cash after this, so it's a red carpet rolled out for round number 11. And then at that point, SSG are basically fighting to keep Cloud9 off of round number 12. Insky hold up. Back towards U-haul once more, working together with sSef. Roca finally finding an opening. Frag Mitch trying to get a haphazard spray. TenZ is even taking the TP on through. A big opening kill for SSG because now they've assumed Hookah control. There's not much that Cloud9 can do without expending a lot of bodies. Maybe a paranoia to send them back, but you've got 2 flash characters in here as well. They can hold you back as well, especially with Boostio holding that curveball, so there will be no attempt here from Cloud9. It's way too risky of a play to go for it. They will wrap back towards A, though, but they have little to no information, and that's the scary part here. They're walking in blind again. TenZ, he's been so good at opening up the sites, but alone, can he pull this round back? Straight into the face of Insky. It has been shut down already, and Insky and sSef
No way.
domino force. They've shut down the A site play, and now it's just down to 2. Not looking good here for Cloud9. This is a big round for them to break the economy, but it won't happen. They've tied it up, and Insky finds a hat trick. 10-10, SSG right back on track.
Right back on track. And, well, I don't really know what to say about that round. C9 held W, and they ended up falling into what was a little bit more of a stack that round from SSG. Good fast rotations, too. Very consistent stuff throughout the server, too. TenZ currently already hitting a 20 bomb. Yeah, he's been massive for his team thus far, and it's really the TenZ that we expect. I think every commentator, analyst says that, right? Like, oh, yeah, this is the TenZ that we expect to see. But like, it is what it is, right? I mean, it's his role on the team. He's a pure fragger, and he is playing that main duelist for a reason. Hitting up on 20 is only the start. There's still so much Valorant to be played in this game, And at least over towards A, it's a little bit more lax of a setup for Space Station, and yeah, it's a little awkward. Now C9, they don't exactly have that pace that they had before actually heading up on sites. But now they spread away. There's going to be 3 over towards bathrooms. And the early rotation for Space Station actually comes into fruition. This could be huge, Sully.
Get out of my way!
What they've caused, I mean, attention drawn away just by TenZ himself, but his body is likely put on the line, and they will put to the task. Cloud9, not an optimal execution. The paranoia, you mentioned even those rotations, with the overwhelming numbers and the great setup that SSG had, despite being drawn towards short where the attack was towards showers, works out favorably for them. 3 ults now for both these sides. Maybe TenZ can pull up the blade storm. The economy for Cloud9 definitely looking a little bit shaky, I'd have to say. Sheriff even bought 4 TenZ already, so Cloud9 moving forward could be the end for them, unfortunately, here in Vine. I hate to say it. Yeah, they're going for pistols, they're going for stingers, they're going to do their best to keep SSG off of match points. But unfortunately, there's only so much you can do with the guns that you've got. TenZ at an insane 2K with the judge in the first half. Maybe he can replicate it here as they approach this B bomb site with caution to the wind.
A lot of caution. I mean, they are just waiting up for what would be early picks purely because, again, I'm not exactly going to call it a default. But it is an early lurk over towards A. If it were successful, these players are in enough disciplined positions for them to actually hold on back. And I like that early setup too. Really just waiting for what would be a singular pick over towards bathrooms if someone does end up peeking out. And not only that, but because it's Cypher, he can put out a tripwire over towards mid on his way in, thus preventing a further rotation back. So, I mean, to that extent,
Joke's over!
an early good play from C9, but now in comes the ultis, in comes the utils. Boostio trying to get a running back over towards roca, but it's not going to work. With a hold for roca, it's so good and long. Boostio gets the holding W, and he himself gets a second. Space Station, they've opened up the game, and they have arrived at map point.
Match point.
Big stuff as well, Cloud9. You got 2 match points to play against now. And the money that you've brought in, it's the last droplets of hope you've got. Relyks moving to pick up a Vandal or Phantom, but no operator for TenZ. He's been eerily quiet so far this entire map with the op. It feels like he's been mainly holding on to rifles and Vandals, hasn't had an opportunity to be that explosive op. And this time around, it's his last chance to hold on to this map. 2 rounds to play against SSG. Plenty of credits built up. Even if they lose this, they've got credits to spend. Cloud9, it's all about keeping men alive. And shinobi, he's picked up the first already. Boostio looking for a trade, but shut down as well. That's what Cloud9 needed. They've opened up the B bomb site, and it's just one man. It split this entire defensive line. There was a flame going in, though. Insky has been able to find one, but can there be more coming? He's found a second. Relyks, you've got to shut him down here, and he does. 2 versus 2, but look at what that's done. Kaplan as well, pushed up towards long. This is such a chaotic round, and it's down to just 2 to try and clutch this out for Cloud9 and SSG both.
Both players are still posted up on B, but the A lurk is still very much prevalent. Chilling on out now is Mitch. Alongside Vice, the spike will be able to go down. No ultis in the hands of the defenders either.
Spike planted.
Just feared to prevent that. Mitch, such a pivotal angle. He would have to be the meat grinder. Knowing that first insane contact points for this entire round, and not only that, but they don't even know which players are going to be coming from mid, which players coming from short, or anything of the sorts. Cage on back, that's going to cover up. Kaplan can't make his way through. Still 2 players over towards U-Haul. sSef gets the first pick. Vice has to clutch again. Does get the one down. Can get himself one more. And go. Oh my, what was that angle? What was that angle back on the darts? sSef is going to be able to defuse with ease. And Space Station, they have taken bind away from Cloud9.
0.57 seconds as well. All he needed was to land the shotgun. He got the damage off the rifle. Couldn't pull off the 2v1 clutch, but bind, it will go the way of SSG. It was their map pick, but Ascent, that's what waits both of these teams. It was a very, very close game. sSef